Hey, welcome back. It's Friday, so that means it's another episode of Stage Door, theater podcast hosted by a couple of average guys. It's a new theater company. We always get excited when it's a new theater company that comes in, and we can talk about their company as well as the show that they're doing. But I'm also excited because they brought a gift. They brought me some scotch, so I got to just reach down here because it's down here somewhere. I just got to find it.
A little further to your left. There it is.
All right.
So that's a. Are you a Scotch guy?
I have never had a scotch.
Ever.
And you're just drinking it right out of the bottle.
So Scotch 101 is basically different spots of the island of the area of Scotland result in different styles and different tastes, basically. And I will not profess to be a true pro, but there's absolutely distinct flavors and flavor profiles from different areas. So this is from the Isle of Islay, which is southwest, an island off.
You could have said any
coast.
direction. I would have had to believe you.
And their sort of distinguishing, feature in that area is very peatiness. So it's very like
peatiness.
You'd call it almost like campfire-esque.
Oh, so like peat moss?
Peat, yes.
Okay.
Peat, like the taste of peat, exactly.
Oh. So I'm going to try this here.
Earthy.
So you are the first guest ever to actually bring us booze.
Oh, well. Glad
So
I could.
listen, all you jerks out there. Okay, we've had how many episodes now? We're up to
And
like 70, and we finally had somebody bring us some alcohol for a change.
And I was going to bring up how you're in a play in a very conservative community. Now we've ruined it.
What? Just alcohol doesn't make you not conservative.
Okay.
It makes you...
Yeah. Well, I've had scotch from Edinburgh.
I'm just sniffing it right now.
And let me tell you, you got to watch that because it put me down.
I'm kind of an alcoholic, so it should probably be fine. But, man, I'm just sniffing this right now. Ooh, it smells pretty. It really...
It's got a nice flavor to it.
Yeah, it just smells like a...
I got that actually when I was
I don't even know.
When I was in
So
Spain over
forget the
Christmas
play.
time.
Forget
this year.
talking about the
This past
play.
year.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about alcohol.
Yeah.
We went to Edinburgh actually for our honeymoon. My wife and I had a Harry Potter themed wedding.
Nice.
And our honeymoon was sort of the different areas that J.K. Rowling, that ones that the film was located, but also sort of areas that J.K. Rowling wrote some of the books. And so in Scotland there was a pretty famous cafe. I think it was called the Elephant Cafe that was purported where she wrote one or more of the books. So we went up to flew into London, then went up to Edinburgh for a couple of days.
Taking a sip. Here we go. I'm taking a sip.
Well, and that's where Hogwarts is, right? Isn't it in Scotland?
Too sure.
I don't know because I think that's why Maggie.
Oh,
I think that's why
wow.
Maggie Smith made
That
her
is-
Scottish.
Yes, I'm enjoying this. You're right. This is good.
Yeah, you kind of almost a campfire-esque. This one's a little lighter. My go-to is a one called Lagavulin, which is very, very peaty. That's kind of like one of the ones you can find mass retail in the States.
Do they soak this in the barrels then too, or
This is a bourbon barrel. These I think is a bourbon barrel.
Okay, so they use bourbon barrels to put the scotch in.
Yes.
Oh,
And
this
Wes,
is smooth and warm.
Whatever
I love
you
it.
don't drink, Wes wants the rest of the bottle back.
Oh.
to take
Nope,
home.
no, that's a gift.
Oh,
A
it's
gift, he said,
It's a
for the
gift.
rest of anybody else who ever wants to come on the
Absolutely.
Okay.
podcast and request a scotch.
I have
He is
plenty
the
of
first person ever to request a scotch. So we don't know. It could be in my liquor cabinet for a while, unless I drink it all.
Well, and then now other guests are going to have to follow suit. They're
Yes.
like,
That
damn,
would
he
be
brought
nice.
he brought
They have
liquor.
to
That's what we're
one-up you.
saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're saying on
So
here.
you guessed you have to one up this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, we've like I said gone way off topic here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we have Wes, we have Kris. You guys are here from Archbold Community Theatre. You guys are producing The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and nobody has done that in the whole time I've been in this area watching theater. Nobody has done this. So who is this ambitious person? Do you have any ideas who said we're going to do this show?
I think it was just the theater. I think they were looking for something new and exciting to do.
Archbold.
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
can't just do The Hunchback.
Yeah, well, and like you said, it's never been produced in the area, and I think because it's basically a modern opera. I mean, it's like Les Mis in a lot of ways.
It's very hard.
You know, and it's like, I mean, the music is gorgeous, but it is insane.
Like, did they
So
know
this-
you
the-
existed, Wes?
No, they didn't. So this, but when I auditioned, they kind of gave me a tour of the theater and told me the history of the Playhouse and stuff. So the driving force was actually the director behind it, Michael. What's his last
Short.
name? Short. So he's been a director with Archbold Community Theatre
Okay.
for over 40 years.
So he knows what he's
And
doing.
He does, yeah. And so his dream show is
4-0?
always yes,
Oh, not 14, 4D?
no, 4
Okay,
0.
making sure.
Yeah, and this was kind of I think this is like his swan song. I think this is his last.
Yeah, he
big show he's gonna do.
He was in semi-retirement, and then
Yeah.
they announced that they were going to do this, and then he was like, "Well, I got to do it."
Well,
So he wanted to do Les Mis. Les Mis was his favorite show of
Okay.
all time, but he's never been able to get the rights basically to,
how the heck
do
did
that.
he never get? I feel like everybody's gotten the rights to that show.
Well, I think because I think MTI, because I think that's who licenses
Yeah,
Les Mis. It's either them or
probably,
the
yeah.
Routers and Hammerstein catalog. They're very finicky about when they can give out the rights. I think because they're relaunching the tour. And when because I did Les Mis in 2014, and we were one of the first people to get the rights in
Does
the
Hugh
area.
Jackman know they're relaunching the tour? Because, he's just jumping from show to show, so you might as well go and do that one, too.
Well, I would not be buying a ticket to that.
No.
Because yeah.
You weren't a fan of his Tony performance?
No, the Tony performance was great. I think
No.
he's a terrible Jean Valjean. So no, I saw the movie and his Bring Him Home made my ears bleed.
Yeah.
And when they relaunch tours, they're very particular about who can get rights and who can't. Because we almost
Yeah.
didn't get them because the tour was coming through.
Yeah, they come anywhere
Cleveland, I
close
think.
to the area, they're like, nah, not happening, man.
But I don't know. Sometimes they get a little lax.
That's
though, 'cause-
happened a couple times.
Well, because
with...
I did The Little Mermaid in 2017, and there was another production only 20 miles away from us.
Oh.
And we were like, I thought the mile radius had to be anywhere from 50 to 75.
Well, was it another community theater, though?
It was,
I
but
think they're
it
less
was, but
picky
they-
when it comes to that. I think they're just like, whatever, we'll take your money.
They could be, but even in years past, they were really strict on the
Yeah,
community
when the
theaters.
national theaters want to come through, though, they're like, nah,
Yeah.
you can't have this, man.
Yeah.
We're doing Beauty and the Beast. It's coming through the area. We're locking it down.
Yeah.
You can't have it. So
Yeah, better luck next year.
But the Hunchback, okay, because you play Quasimodo, Wes.
I do.
That is no joke role. I mean, that is insane. So it's like they had to go out on a huge limb to say, we're going to do this show
And hope
and hope
that
that
somebody
can sing these notes that are very,
and
very
boy,
hard.
and boy, can he.
Boy, can he. And out of the blue, no one has heard of you ever.
I haven't done theater in 10 years.
You haven't done
really?
theater
I
in
haven't
10
sang
years.
in about 10 years
Wow.
until
Oh.
about
You got a lot of nerve.
6
and
months
then-
ago.
Yeah. What?
To be that talented. And you haven't
Everybody
done this in
hates you
10
now.
years.
So-
Yes, yes. And now everyone's going to want you, and you're going to be a household name. Out of the blue, no one's ever heard of you, and there you show up.
Okay, so you just show up and you just do this thing. So they had to be over the moon when you came in and actually could hit these notes because I'm a giant fan of the actual Broadway production music, and I'm like Made of Stone is ridiculous. That song in there, that is.
And this just goes to show how talented he really is. He's not even doing it the way it's written in the score that we have. He's doing the German version where it goes up even higher at the
You
end.
do the high notes, you hit the high notes.
He goes up to a C.
Yeah. See, that's what I was wondering. The C, I thought it went even higher than that.
In the Broadway, I think it was, what, a B flat
It was dumb.
or something? Where, yeah, but
dumb.
no. Is it a C or is it
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 is.
went
Yep.
up
Is it
to
a C?
Vienna
And-
Boys Choir, I believe is what it went up
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, quick punch him and
He
he'll get.
has to stand on a chair to get those notes. But
No.
he's, yeah.
It was,
So-
it was
so-
just good timing.
Yeah, good
Good timing.
timing, and you're just doing this stuff. And I know that you're here. I'm going to do a little brag alert here, but you're taking voice lessons from a Broadway star.
Yeah, who
How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, yeah, she was on your show, obviously.
Yeah,
not too
that's
long
how I
ago.
even knew.
Libby Survey, right?
Yeah.
And so, so I hadn't sang in years, and then so Libby's mom works at a place in Maumee called Clara J's Tea Room.
Yes, you pimped that out. Yep.
Yeah. So our next door neighbor, who was my best friend in both Best Men and Wedding, anyways, he has 3 girls. And one of his girls wanted to go to Clara J's.
If you have
which
3
was
girls, you're going to Claire
Exactly.
J's
So
too.
my wife and I
Exactly.
took her. That was our gift to her for her birthday. And
Oh
she wanted
wow,
me to
best
sing.
neighbor ever! Holy
Well,
crap!
yeah, we're like, we were business partners in the past, and like I said, best men in each other's weddings. We go way
Man,
back,
this scotch
so.
is good. I'm sorry, that's good
No,
stuff.
absolutely. So we took her to Clara J's, and she wanted me to sing a song in there
Oh,
for her birthday, and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, so I did it. I sang, and then Libby's mom was like, "Hey, you should sing with my daughter." And I didn't know who this was at the time. I'm like,
should
"Oh,
sing
that's nice.
with
Sure.
Linda on
That would
Wicked."
be fun." And then my wife, who grew up in Mommy, she's like, "You don't know who that is, do you?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "That's Libby Survey's mom." I'm like, "Oh, who's that?" She's like, and she was Glinda on, in Wicked on Broadway. And I'm like, "Oh, okay then. Well,
She's pretty good.
fair enough."
She's
Fair
pretty
enough.
good.
And so I actually, this was a while ago, and I actually sort of sloughed it off because I stopped singing like 10 years ago and acting because I started a company with a friend. And anyways, long story short, I started again. And so I reached out to her and she's like, "Sure, I'll do voice lessons." So she was actually in Toledo, they live in New York now. They moved away, by the way. Okay. So she was in Toledo and we did a Zoom.
Makes it easier when you're in Broadway if you actually live in New York.
Right,
So
right,
fly back every night from Toledo.
Talk about two amazing people. But anyways.
Yeah, they're sweet.
So we did a virtual lesson, and then we started doing a virtual sort of meeting, and then we did some lessons. And she's like, "Wow, nice voice, et cetera, et cetera." And she was amazingly supportive and kind. And then we started doing them in person. And then my wife and I, hung out with her and her husband, and just became fast friends.
Nice.
We have a lot of things in common. And when we started doing voice lessons, she was like, "You just need to do a show. You need to get on stage. You need to do something with your voice." In a very Libby-esque way, which is like super, friendly and bubbly and kind, and that's who she is. So
She wasn't pushy and a big old beat.
the opposite of that. So initially, I actually auditioned for a show up in Michigan, Guys and Dolls, and I didn't find out about Hunchback until I had gone through my first audition at the Guys for Guys and Dolls.
Who was doing that? Let's name names. Was that Croswell doing that? Or
No. This was up in Detroit area,
Oh,
and
okay.
the theater is Inspire Theater.
Okay.
And so I auditioned for that, and then I spent a lot of time on that, and then it's funny, I auditioned for Hunchback, and I did the worst audition of my life from a reading standpoint.
Well, so you couldn't read all of a sudden?
I biffed it. Like
you
I
were
just
illiterate?
blacked out on like 3 lines of that you're supposed to say. Like I
You're
literally.
like, what is that word? It's
I
the.
apologize. I'm like, I've never done this in my entire life. This is absolutely horrible. So, but then I sang "Bring 'Em Home" as my audition, piece
From Les Mis.
From Les Mis, yeah. And then that probably is what they said. Oh, okay.
They said,
yeah.
well,
Okay.
he can't
Yeah.
read,
Yeah.
but he can sing. So maybe if we just
Yeah.
tell him what the words are.
Yeah, they're like, just tape it and send
Yeah.
the monologue as a tape to us, for heaven's sake.
And
They're like, you don't even need to.
Yeah.
So.
And then, Chris, you pretty much came out of nowhere to me. I've never heard of you until you did Chicago for Cutting Edge this spring.
Yeah, I saw you. I
Yeah.
saw you.
And have you been doing theater, or are you just out of the blue? Here you are.
This is what I'm hoping to do for a living. This is my 33rd stage credit.
Okay.
I've been acting since I was 6 or 7.
Nice.
I was bitten by the bug at 1 year old.
1. How are you doing it at 1?
Well, no. So my
Still
parents.
changing your diapers at 1. Come on now.
Yes, but I was like, if we're gonna sing and dance. No, my family has always said you're such an old soul, and like my brain has just always like gravitated towards certain things. And my grandmother was watching me when my mother was working, and my grandmother only had basic television. So PBS was the big channel for
Heck
us.
yeah.
But she would always take us out. We called it bumming around. So we'd go to Toledo, we go to Ottawa Park, we go to Pearson Park, we go to the museum and all that stuff. And we got
So right here, where we were
Yeah,
sitting.
yeah,
you're
literally.
Right down the street
Literally.
from Ottawa Park and Pearson Park. Yeah.
we got back and there was still like 3 or 4 hours until my mother was going to be able to pick me up. And I was like, Grandma, I want to watch TV. And she's like, I don't have anything. And she put on some random tape, didn't know what it was. And suddenly this music started and this shape started to appear and it was an eye. And then it just said Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats.
The cats.
And that was the bug. And so I owe her everything. But, and for years, every time I went over, I'm like, we got to watch Cats. We got to watch Cats. And she would buy at garage sales extra long socks and cut the feet off so I could have the arm and leg warmers like they wear.
You could be Mr. Mistopheles.
Yeah, and she would give me the tassel from her robe and I'd put it on like a tail and I would dance the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
In there. So
And
You know how
by
many
the
grandmas I've heard
and-
that are influences?
Yeah.
So many.
yeah.
and by the way, you have a small part in the play. Who are you?
His name's Tim. Tim. He just walks on and walks up.
Tim,
no,
yeah.
I'm playing Frollo in Hunchback, which for the listeners, I'm actually the replacement of our good friend
me.
Ron here.
I auditioned and I got the part.
And then you had to thumb wrestle, and he beat you in thumb wrestling, so he got it instead?
Yeah, that was it. But so you have done 30-something shows, and now you're
But you were
right
in
on
Chicago.
stage.
What were you in Chicago? Let's get some more credits here.
Yeah.
I was Billy Flynn.
Billy Flynn.
So
I saw you.
And what was great about that, and what was great
You were
about
great. That whole show was great.
Oh yeah. Well, and what was great about getting to play Billy and getting to play Frollo, those were the two dream roles that I never thought I would ever get a chance to
Get
play
out of town.
because they're not done.
True.
And until I can move and hopefully seek professional stuff full time.
And we're talking, they did them back to back here in town.
Yeah, and ironically, so the way I found out about this, Chicago had closed, and I had just done La Traviata with the Toledo Opera. And I was like, I'm kind of looking forward to having a summer off. It's like, yeah, I miss performing, but I got to build the stamina up again because 2.5 years, I'm sitting on my couch binging television shows.
Because of the COVID crap?
And yeah.
And then I messaged you out of the blue.
Well, no, actually, Micah Graber
got
got a
I
hold of me.
messaged him.
You didn't know who he was. How are you messaging him?
I messaged Micah and said, help.
well, and the way he opened it was funny. He goes, "Hey, are you around for the summer?" And I'm like, "I live here."
Micah, who is also in Chicago.
Yeah, he was Mary Sunshine in Chicago, one of the great human beings on the face of the earth.
Yes.
And he was
Mary
like,
Sunshine or
No,
Micah?
Micah.
Micah, who played Mary Sunshine. Mary Sunshine, she's a little shady.
Yeah, she is.
But he was like, "Hey, Archbold's looking for a Frollo," and I was like, "Say no more." And then he told me to contact Ron, and Ron graciously put my name in, and all of that. So I owe you.
Don't you
big
love
time.
being handed a role, though?
I will launch your career. It's
Thank you
me.
very much.
The 32 other roles
Yes.
didn't launch anything.
No.
It's nice to not have to audition for things, but because I had never heard of Archbold Community Theatre
Right.
before.
Me either. No.
And so I didn't even know that there was a theater in the area doing Hunchback. And so as soon as Micah told me that there was a company doing it, I just jumped at the opportunity because, like I said, this is one of two of the many dream roles I have that I thought would never be optional.
Yeah, Archbold is part of OCTA, Ohio Community Theater Association. If they were not part of that group, I would not know they existed. So because they're part of that group, I was able to look out at them and scout them, see what's going on. They were doing Hunchback, and I was like, a heads up, Ron.
Yeah. And so tell us about Archbold Community Theater. Is it
Do they know anything? They're
is it a
both new
big
to the
deal, or
program.
are they little?
You were given the tour in the history. I joined
Yeah,
3
Wes,
weeks in, so I'm going to look to you.
Yeah, so I think they started the actual company started. Well, I think our director was one of the founding members 40 years ago. So
Really? 40
yeah.
years ago
Yep.
is a founding member directing this show?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Like I said, so we're at the end of I think of his career. But anyways, yeah. I mean, their productions now are at Archbold High School, which is about a 600 seat theater.
Big.
Nice fly space, nice wings. I mean, it's a really nice. I'm excited about it. Really nice theater to be performing in, and I think they do at least one show every summer, and they do probably fall productions, and they've done large productions before.
Yeah,
so.
like I said, I've been snooping on them. I've been
Yeah,
stalking them and
they're-
seeing stuff,
they-
and I looked at their website, and I was like, oh, wait a minute.
They are legitimate.
That's
yeah.
a good show.
They're big
that's
time.
a nice show. That's a nice show.
Yeah.
They're not sitting there doing these
And-
never heard of shows before.
Would you characterize them as conservative? That's what I take. Very and
I would
Very conservative?
yes.
I
wonderfully, refreshingly.
I wouldn't consider the people who run the theater conservative. I would consider the community of Archbold
community?
conservative.
Okay.
They told me, and I'm kind of looking forward to it, to be honest, because when I did Assassins, we had the same thing. I'm kind of looking forward to there being that one person that gets up and leaves. Because
For Hunchback?
well, no, because they got letters after Mamma Mia.
Well, that's...
saying that was too risque, and I'm
Too
like,
risque.
and I'm like, have you seen Hunchback? I'm like, this is a dark show.
What they do... people, whatever,
Well,
it's real
so-
life. Theater reflects real life, and things happen in real
Yeah.
life that you can't always control, and that's just tough.
Yeah.
Oh, probably shouldn't have said on the Archbold broadcast.
You're fine. I come from the training of having to deal with people like that, and I'm just like, that sounds like a them problem.
Yeah,
and
that's the way it
you know,
is.
if they want to miss out on a good show, then
but I really loved my 3 weeks with Archbold. They were so nice and so professional.
But the story, I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there who is unaware of what the Hunchback of Notre Dame, is that what you have to say it like?
Yes.
Because I say Notre Dame.
That's a university.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the same, how dare you say that. A Hunchback of Notre Dame story. I don't know if there's anybody out there who doesn't know the story. So
Or at least the film. At least the Disney film.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is not the Disney version.
No, it's Disney's music.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's not the
all of it,
animated
though, right?
version.
No, all of the songs except for the gargoyles, because the gargoyles are written very differently.
There's several songs, though, that are not in the movie.
Yes.
well,
the
yes,
animation.
Well, yes, but I mean, like, it's the same writers who wrote the score for the movie.
Oh, is
coming
it?
in to do it, because they did it in Germany in '99. And I actually just sent Wes this the other day, because it's a great production, but it basically was the movie verbatim. But the movie was not a success because it was dark, and it was very mature.
The cartoon version.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right,
it was not a hit, and so it kind of
wasn't? I loved it.
It was
Of course,
the
I
end.
was an adult, so maybe that's
It
why
was
I
the
loved
end
it.
of the Alan Menken Renaissance. Because I went to see his show where he plays through his songbook, and he's like, won the Oscar for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast,
Beauty and the
Aladdin,
Beast,
and then I
Aladdin.
wrote this movie called The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and then the awards just dried up.
I love it.
I think it's the best score.
It's got great. I mean, it's animation, but like the camera work is beautiful,
Oh, yeah.
and just everything's like they went out on a limb on, I guess, the story. But it is dark. There
It
is
is.
this inappropriate lust for.
Well, and the thing that I found interesting about it was when they did it in Germany, they expanded upon it. But like I said, it was pretty much the movie verbatim. It wasn't, the version that currently exists. But there was talks of it coming to Broadway, but because the movie left such a bitter taste in people's mouths, they were like, "No, we're not going to transfer."
Initially,
this.
they were like, nah.
And then I think they started working on it in 2007, and they decided to go back to the book and basically do an adaptation of Victor Hugo's book with Disney's music. And I think that's actually the tagline on the poster. I think it says, based on the novel by Victor Hugo with songs from the Disney film.
Oh,
So, yeah.
but also additional songs.
Yes.
Lots more additional songs.
Yes.
So they are going to go there, and they are going to hear the bells of
Yes.
Notre. They're going to hear all that
Yes.
song, but they're also going to hear.
Wait, keep going. Oh.
Yeah. Made
This is your audition.
Yeah, made of. They are. Everybody who listens know I sing on everything. so they are going to hear "Made of Stone," which I just like. That is such a powerful song. When
Out
you
There.
hear it. Yeah. Well, Out There's from the movie.
And Heckfire.
What? Heckfire.
Heckfire. It's
HE
conservative.
double hockey stick fire. Is that what you're saying?
Conservative community. I was
Hellfire,
gonna,
folks.
I was
We're
gonna
talking about Hellfire.
I was gonna sing Heckfire. I thought that would be more.
Well, if you come to the show, you're going to hear the word hell.
Oh,
so
my
that's all there
gosh.
is to it, because that's where all the gypsies are going to
Now,
go.
both of
According
you,
to him, yeah.
According to
both
him,
of
yeah.
both of you play very physical roles. It's physically demanding. Talk about, how are you going to be climbing ladders and swinging from ropes, Wes?
Sure. Yeah.
And-
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For
And
sure.
crawling on all fours?
Yeah, he has his actual diagnosis is severe kyphosis, which is
Wait, that's in the book? They actually say what's wrong with them?
no, but
Oh.
if you Google it, that's. So I used to design rehab equipment for people with severe disabilities. So I actually found it kind of fascinating, and I've
Of
worked with
course you
people like
did.
that
Yeah.
before. So, but yeah, severe kyphosis. So basically, his spine is curved up, near the top, kind of in the T area, pretty dramatically. So they use a hump, right? Of course, but you still have to bend over to a certain extent with it, and there's a lot of being on your knees. And and basically one arm is pretty much not usable. So you do a lot of work so we use actually a splint right now to mimic that. It holds it in place. So for when the show, we won't be using it, but my arm will have been trained to be in that position. So from that standpoint, that's the case. And then what was really fascinating and cool
Well,
to
you're really a method actor then. You're
you-
going to lock your arm into
do,
place for
yeah.
so long that by the time the show starts,
You're
your
used to
arm
it.
just won't move.
Yep.
And so physically, and then staging theatrics. How do you transform? Will you transform on stage into the
Yeah, Ron was telling me this weird thing. I didn't
on
understand
Broadway,
that
how they
does
did
some
it.
Yeah, you
transformation.
start kind of as a just another sort
man,
of character,
person.
yeah. And then during the opening sort of 4 or 5 sets of I guess vignettes of songs, during the second to last one, I think, he comes out, and then 2 other cast members, one of them puts the robe on, and the other one, or the whatever
hump.
Okay, so
one puts the hump
I
on,
need
and
to
the other
know
puts it on.
why.
So
The show is written as story theater. So the idea, we break character constantly and narrate the story.
Yes.
almost like classic Greek.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like a Greek chorus.
I was like, what is he, like the beast? He's transforming? I'm confused as to
Well,
what's
and it's so cool how they do it. I mean, I'm excited to see what they're going to make you do. But if you watch the original production, he has makeup on his fingers, and he actually puts on the lines and stuff to
Disfigured makeup.
Listen,
to
I
make
don't
his
watch
face.
anything
He just-
original. I go to community theaters, and
good.
that's the first time I see anything unless Ron spoils it
Yes,
for me.
yes, and shows you the YouTube
Yeah,
video.
what I think will actually be really interesting is sort of the voice and the vocal technique.
How do you do that?
So that was actually, a lot of that was help from Libby as well, because in the recording, he has a very sort of affected voice.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would, I tried a little bit, that would hurt kind of vocally to do ongoing. And so we what we did differently was actually we just did some tongue placement, and basically found that if I put my tongue on the floor behind my bottom teeth, bottom row, and then slightly to the right, it kind of gives a like a sound like I can't hear, and he's partially
He's deaf.
deaf because of the bells. So you talk like this, and it does not strain your vocal cords for when you want to go and sing.
Sanctuary.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Because we're
So
all doing it now.
Now we're all doing it.
We're all like trying to.
And
Wow, you sound amazing. I
yes.
sound illegible when I do it, but you sound perfect.
And then, Chris, you will be pretty. It's a pretty
You're a mean
physical
guy, yeah.
physical role for you too. You're stabbing people and attacking women and things like that.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
No.
I think he's a sweetheart.
yeah, he's playing Tim.
Yeah, playing
Relax,
Tim.
man.
Tim the sorcerer from Holy
Yes.
Grail. No, and he is mean, but what I love about how he's written in the show, because again, going back to the book, because in the movie, he's kind of pure evil.
Yeah.
I always say, if you want to see what the devil would look like if he walked into a church, it's
Yeah.
Judge Claude Frollo from Disney's
Yeah.
Hunchback of Notre Dame. But in this, he does do very terrible things. I mean, he is this monster that people expect, but he's a very complicated, very torn
Yes.
guy, because it's not a spoiler alert. I mean, it happens in
No,
the first
everybody's
scene.
seen it.
He loses his brother in the first scene, and it's sort of his catalyst for his hatred
That's
of the.
kind of a spoiler because that was not in the Disney movie.
Yes, but it happens in the first 5 minutes, so
Okay.
and so that's kind of his catalyst for his hatred of the Romani people. And
The Romani people?
Gypsies?
Gypsies.
Is that what that means? Okay.
Yeah, gypsy now is considered a derogatory term.
Of course.
Yeah.
We use it in the
Is that what
show.
they
Yeah.
refer?
But-
I was to say
yeah.
they refer to him as gypsies in the
Yes.
show. Is his death caused by them? Is that why?
No, but Frollo is.
We're gonna spoil it all the way. Why
Well,
not?
yeah, well, no. Frollo already. Again, not to turn this into a social
fine.
commentary
No, it's
thing,
fine.
but Frollo suffers what I think a lot of people suffer from the Catholic Church, especially of that time. When you don't have the right people taking care of you, you become very brainwashed, and certainly, especially then, because the Inquisition had just happened, a century beforehand. So there was this whole notion of people who were different and who weren't Christian were evil. And so he has that in him, drilled into him by the church.
Best villains are relatable. If you can look at that person and say, "Oh, I see why they're a bad guy." They're not trying to be a bad guy. They're trying to be something else. It just the way they're doing it is bad.
Yeah, and I
that's
think,
Frollo.
Yeah, and I think what is so great about the way he's written in this version of the show is, for the first 40 minutes, especially with Quasimodo, he's very paternal.
Yeah.
He's very, not like in the movie where he's very, I'm only looking after you because I have to.
Because I have to.
Where
right.
in the show, it really is this notion of like, no, there is this father-son
Yeah, and the
connection
world
there.
is freaking terrible,
It
and they
is.
will be
It
horrible
is.
to you for reals,
And
they are.
and it's not until Esmeralda enters
Why is my
the
voice so high?
cathedral
I'm sorry.
and she rejects his advances
yeah.
that the switch is flipped.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get that booty.
Yeah. The booty call didn't work.
When he realizes, oh yeah, there is
Well, and it's a great line because
a truth.
she's
behind
gone to
what he
check
said.
on him like she does in the movie. She goes up to the bell tower and he shows her the view. And I come up and I send him to go do his chores around the bell tower. And I'm telling her, it's pure gaslighting and just manipulation.
Yeah.
But this whole, you could stay in the cathedral with me. And she says, I don't think that would be such a good idea. And I ask why. And she goes, I see the way you look at me. And that's the catalyst, because I feel like most people, when they're in that situation, they are so convinced that they are right that when they're called out on their behavior, they immediately retaliate.
Of course.
And it eventually
defensive
leads...
manner all the time. Oh, I'm not wrong. You're
yeah.
wrong.
And so it leads to
How
this,
dare you
this
think that?
violence.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
this-
I'm the man of the church. I'm
Yeah.
pure. I'm everything. You're this dirty
Well-
girl who
Well, and that's
yeah.
what I think makes him interesting to play, because you play both sides of the coin. Because on the one hand, you have Dom Claude Frollo, the archdeacon of the church, who seems to be a very godly, very good person who's
Wait,
trying...
what's his name?
No, Dom is a title.
Oh,
Dom is a title. His name is Claude Frollo. Dom
okay.
is a title in
Threw
the church.
me off there. I was,
Yeah. No, Dom Glover. That.
shout out.
Yeah, shout out. I love you, Dom. I miss you. You have that side of him who is this very kind,
Yeah.
godly, gentle person who really does have a love for Quasimodo.
Does he? Okay.
I think so. I sing in the second act, and again, it's kind of manipulative because we're at that point where he's so obsessed with Esmeralda that.
What do you think, Wes? Do you think Dad actually loves you?
Dom.
Yeah. Dom, do you love him? Call me. Let me know.
Claude.
I think we all try to show love in our own way, right?
I think
And,
there's
So that's a no.
There's a little emotional abuse going on. there.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, what makes him interesting is on the one side, he seems like a very kind, generous human being who's just trying to spread the word of God and be a good example for the people of Paris. Then there's this monster of this pent-up sexual rage that
being a
just
human.
comes out, and it's like playing Jekyll and Hyde. Only Hyde fully takes over.
Who is playing?
Tell us about Esmeralda.
Who is that?
Her name
That's
is
obviously the biggest female role in the show. So.
her name is Caitlin Tippin,
Don't know
and
Caitlin.
and she is a wonder.
She's a wonder.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Well, no, because my first
That helps.
my first music rehearsal. Again, I never met her, but knowing what the kind of stuff I have to do to her in the show, I
Yes.
met her, and the first thing I said to her was, "I'm so sorry."
I'm
So
so
you
sorry.
didn't, you didn't meet Caitlin, Ron, when you were there for 2 days?
I met her for about a minute.
Yeah.
And you have to get up close and personal with her. And
Yes, there's a song in the second act affectionately titled "The Assault."
The Assault,
So,
yes.
yeah.
So you apologize.
So
Yes, I
Archbold
apologize in
better
advance.
do a decent job, at least informing some of the families in the area that this is not the Disney version of the show.
Well, and the way Caitlin and I have handled that, because we just did it for the first time on Monday, and we're doing it again on Thursday or tomorrow. It's very tame, but very effective.
Okay.
I would say remind people that this is written by the same guy who wrote Les Mis. Okay,
Well, no,
this is what the
yeah.
story is. It's the same guy who wrote Les Mis. Ignore Disney's version to try and make it kid friendly. It is a very powerful story.
Very human story.
Yes,
Human,
and
yes.
it is like you said. Well, a conservative theater company or whatever. It does have a really strong message to it, though.
Yes.
So it's not like it's just raunchy to be raunchy.
Yeah.
It has a great, powerful message to it. And Caitlin is amazing, you said?
Yeah, she's fantastic. The first music rehearsal that I had, we sang through the whole show, and I already was like, oh, great. Because they already had 3 weeks of music rehearsals.
Yes.
And I was familiar with Hellfire and with the opening of Out There and stuff like that. And the stuff that was on the album of the Broadway actors. But
Because
there's
you're a
some,
theater dork. You know all this stuff. Exactly.
yeah, I'm single, and it's what I do. I always say I'm married to my work. But she opened her mouth to sing Rhythm of the Tambourine, Esmeralda's first number, and my jaw literally
Don't
dropped.
you love that, though?
Oh,
Did
it's
that not
fantastic.
excite you to
Oh,
see
yes.
these great performers
That's a
around
tough
you?
song. That's a crazy,
Yeah.
wild song. Yeah.
And this guy's okay.
And he's
yeah,
okay.
and doesn't that just it just brings you up to like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
okay, I need to bring it, and it's nice to have other people around who are obviously love it as much as
I
you.
do have a Caitlin Tippin story.
Oh, do you?
How do you know her? For the 2 days you were
My
there.
son,
Oh,
Tyler, was in Les Mis in 3B productions with her sister.
Oh, cool.
And so that's how I know of the Tippins.
so it's like the 6 separations of
And
Kevin,
my son,
Kevin Bacon thing?
my son
Caitlin
asked.
Tiplin?
Let me see. What was Melissa Tippin? Might be the sisters. My son asked the sister out.
Oh.
So that's how I know.
Oh, I
That's-
remember
my
you telling that story.
Yes,
This
yes.
is
That's
such
right.
a dad
That's right.
podcast.
Yeah. So
That's right.
my son knows Caitlin Tippin's sister.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very smooth. She has a very, very smooth, connected, rich voice. It was. She'll do a wonderful job with that.
So, but has she done anything anywhere else? Do you know?
Yeah, she's a regular out there.
Out there.
Out there. Exactly.
Yeah.
We
Nice.
all got
We've
it.
also been drinking, viewers, so expect a full karaoke session in a second.
And
Yeah,
then
this is a great
and there's,
podcast.
there's a fourth member of this love triangle. It's a love rectangle.
Yeah.
What?
And
Who?
it's Phoebus. Tell
Oh,
us,
I forgot
who's-
all about him
who's
in this show.
Captain.
His name is Ryan Volkman. He grew up in Archbold, but him and his family lived in Texas for a long time. And actually, during rehearsals, they moved back here. So when he wasn't in rehearsal, he was getting their house ready. He missed a
Great.
rehearsal to drive back down and get them and bring
Really?
them up.
He
And-
skipped rehearsal to do that?
I know the nerve.
Priorities,
The
man.
nerve.
Priorities.
Come on.
And he's also fantastic. He's got this great character tenor voice that comes out. and-
It's Archbold. How are you guys getting all of these really great people?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of them out there, and the show also I think draws it in. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Saying it. You keep
why
saying out
we
there.
drive. I mean, you
guys
Chris
are
drives
driving-
an hour and a half, I think, or close to it.
You guys-
I drive an hour each way every day, and
Each
so
way.
You know, and I drive from downtown Toledo. So and
Do
I
you
we
live
have to
downtown
leave.
Toledo? You live in Bowling Green?
No, I live in Gibsonburg.
Yeah, I live in Perrysburg,
Oh my
but my
God.
office is
Gibsonburg.
downtown
Yeah.
Toledo.
Oh
Right.
my gosh.
So, but you know, we have to be there at 6 or 6:30. So we basically leave right after work, drive an hour. We're there till 9:30 or 10. Drive an hour, so we're back home by 11:30. You know, 3 times a week. So,
Wow.
and,
So-
but it's worth it for
Yeah.
the show.
You wouldn't
for
do
sure.
it otherwise.
No, I wouldn't do it for.
If you showed
most
up and a
other
bunch
shows.
of people were hitting all the sour notes, you're like, peace out, probably, right?
Well, once you commit to something, you know, you gotta.
well,
unless you have COVID. So
Yeah. Sorry. Had to quit.
Yeah, once you commit, Ron.
Plus, I actually
Yeah.
I have a connection with the character. It was really interesting. So, I was really lucky to have a wonderful childhood.
huh?
My entire childhood. But what was fascinating is I was 4 years old and I was in another grandma story in my grandma's living room.
Nice. Grandma's rule.
Watch the original version of Hunchback, not the musical, but just the
Lon Chaney?
yes.
Yeah, the
The
silent
what?
movie.
Black
And
and white.
when they were
Oh
when,
my
when
gosh, the
Quasimodo
black and white movie?
was on sort of the stage for the Feast of Fools and they were whipping him.
Wow.
I remember that was literally the first time in my life where I understood how
Cruelty.
humans
Wow.
and people could be to each other, and just bawling in tears at that. I still remember it to this day. That was the first time in my life where I realized people can be cruel to each other. And so when I saw the opportunity, I told them, and during the audition when I saw the opportunity, I'm like, this is a really sort of powerful emotional connection.
Yeah, I saw The Elephant Man when I was too little to see it, and I had the same reaction.
Absolutely.
I was like, I should not have seen this movie when I was that little to see it, because that was just cruelty that I did not expect to see as a kid. So, it's very similar to The Hunchback, where they torment him for just being different.
Well, that was me with Phantom of the Opera.
Oh.
Even though he does horrible things, but what I think, especially with how the musical is written, it forces us to look at it and go, we created this monster.
Yes.
And, there's a perfectly kind, talented, warm person there, but because they've been so mistreated their whole life, that it's just this anger against the world.
And that's not the case with Quasi still.
No.
He's mistreated, he's horrible, but for some reason, he's
a pure optimist.
Yeah. Why? Do you know, Wes?
Well, he's swole, from all that bell ringing.
Yeah,
So-
he is swole. That's true.
So, will there be a choir and will there be bells?
Yes. We're actually getting the bells on Thursday.
Ah.
Or tomorrow. They're
really?
driving to Chicago, Illinois to pick them up
Are they
tomorrow
made of
morning.
styrofoam? What are they? They're
I just
bells?
know.
So they're so smart business model. There's a high school in Illinois somewhere, I can't remember what it is, that basically designs professional level sets, uses them, and then rents them out to different theater companies across the country.
I will be looking this high school up.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. And so that's what they did. They rented the bells and they rented a couple other, I think, set pieces from them to come back to here. Because originally they were working with a company in Cleveland who had the entire set. And then that fell through, so they started, a couple weeks ago, building most of it. But then also they rented these couple of pieces from that high school.
I'm going to want to look them up to try and find out who they are, or if somebody from Archbold Community Theatre would get a hold of us, let us know, because I would love to tag them, feature them somehow, because if they're producing stuff like this that other people in the area could use, let's get it.
Yeah, Teresa, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Yes, Teresa. Our amazing,
Teresa
our
will
amazing
be
assistant
listening,
director.
I hope. I mean,
I would
yeesh.
assume so.
And then a choir.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there is a choir.
There is a choir.
They joined us full time yesterday, but we've had a few rehearsals with them beforehand. They've been off, in the choir room in the high school drilling.
So there's
the
an
stuff.
entire choir director that's separate from the music director.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a choir, a chorus, and then the principals.
And the choir is actually the reason that the show never went to Broadway.
Wait, a choir, an ensemble, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So the ensemble sings something totally different in the chorus than what the choir actually sings.
Sometimes.
Most of the time, there are a couple numbers like my number Hellfire. We have ensemble members as priests who are also singing the
this
Latin
is going to be an amazing
in the background
show.
with the choir. But
When
yeah,
that
the
choir starts singing, it's going to be...
And I'm guessing
Holy
these choir
shiz.
members are actually choir members in their churches. And
yes,
Oh,
yes,
are they
yes,
really?
Yeah,
yes,
'cause
a
this
good
is-
number of them.
'cause-
Yeah.
and the whole cast, their names are Yoder and Miller and Knopfsinger and Riegsecker, and they're just perfect
the church,
names.
Northwest
From the
Ohio
local
country family
Northwest
names.
Ohio country.
Yeah.
Yes, it's wonderful.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, okay, so everybody needs to go see the show, obviously. When is the show? It's in July
14th,
14th.
14th
Okay.
through the 17th at
Okay.
Archbold High School. Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:30, and
Wow,
Sunday
Chris
at
came
2:30.
prepared with the whole
Well,
thing.
well,
Nice.
because I made the poster that we're all
Okay.
sharing for ticket sales, and tickets go on sale to the general public. I don't know when this will be released, but they go on sale the 27th for the general
Was
public.
that part of you getting the role as Frollo? That you had to
No,
make the
no,
movie?
I was just
Hype
like,
man.
yeah, no, I was just like, we're getting close to tickets going on sale, and like, we should probably have a poster or something that we can post on social media and share around.
Well, send it to us. Send it to
Yeah,
us so we
absolutely.
can do it. So is the entire Bowling Green Musical Theater Department going to come see the show? Is the entire cast of Chicago going to come see the show?
I'm sure the cast of Chicago will.
Is Stephanie Dennehy going to come see the
Oh,
show?
yes.
All
Oh,
right.
yes.
Is
Will-
Libby
Libby
Survey going to
flying
come
in?
see the
So
show?
Libby is doing a show on Broadway in New York during that
Whatever.
period.
She's doing some
Come on.
gymnastics thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the inaugural cast of the Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
there.
that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I-
just starting
Just
a show
something.
in New York
Yeah.
City.
Just
Okay.
yeah,
basically.
launching
as
a
you
show.
No big deal.
Probably going to
MBD.
be on the original Broadway
And
recording.
Steven, her husband, is also amazing. They have their
gonna be in
national tour that they're
California,
doing,
yeah.
Broadway
Yeah.
Love. So
I don't know about the people from BG because I just recently dropped out of BG.
Oh,
so,
well, hopefully they all come. Hopefully they all
yeah,
love you
yeah,
and are going to come.
But no, yes,
yes, all of Toledo needs to go.
yes. Come
yeah,
and
this
see
is
it.
a hidden gem theater. Obviously, we need to make sure we go and support everybody that's out there. So, again, July 14th, get your butts out there, go buy the tickets, and make sure everybody goes and sees these guys.
Yeah.
Because
We have
Ron sat next to Wes and came back the next day and was like,
Oh my! Yes,
Me
I
too.
appreciate that.
yes.
I have some stuff to live up to
Because
here.
we
so.
gotta go see this. It's
Yeah.
good.
And,
They-
and
they
y'all,
can-
listeners, we have 660 seats to fill a night.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of
and
seats.
and all tickets are $14.
We'll do our best to put on a good show for
Yeah.
everyone.
I'm sure you will.
Well,
I'm sure you will.
and I think the reason that a lot of people need to come and see it, and I'm not trying to jump over you, Wes, but I think because people know the movie,
Right.
What the show does is because the movie, it's kind of a black and white view of the story. You know, Quasimodo, Esmeralda, and Phoebus are the good guys. Frollo's the bad guy.
I had to make it for kids, man.
Yeah. But I think what the show does, and again, it being a very human story, it's very heartwarming, even though the ending isn't the uplifting ending from the movie. And because they use the ending from the book, which I won't spoil.
Yeah,
you got to come see the show. But you're still moved by it. And it, you know, to me at least, with especially the character of Quasimodo, it kind of shows what it takes to be a true hero, because everybody thinks you can't, simply because you're born different, and yet he defies the odds and manages to stand up for what's right, even though with threat of retaliation from his master, me, and the church, especially at the time when the church had more power than the king. So I you know, come and see it. Come see Hunchback. It's the feel-good comedy of the year.